Well, I think that it is important for our new people, especially if you have a thought or desire that you're going to walk with us for a while. We'll walk together, support and grow together. Um, Let me give you just a very quick history of how we came to be and how all of this came to be. Um, I had gone on what I originally thought was just going to be a pleasant sightseeing trip out west about 11 years ago. And it was very quickly evident to me that this was more about sightseeing. It was more about seeing me. And it was all more about seeing Creator. And so I kind of switched the intentions a little bit, thinking of this as a vision quest. And towards the end, I was directed towards Hovenweep National Monument. Are you familiar with Hovenweep? Yeah. Place where about 1,500 years ago there was a settlement of the Anasazi, star people. And about 1,000 years ago, they just vanished. And the more conservative historians say they moved north and merged with the Puebloans. But those of us who are a little bit more spiritually sensitive and in touch with the affairs of the universe, we say no. They came and returned to the place from whence they came, and that is the stars. And the Anasazi is looked at figuratively as the guardian angels who are watching over us right now. And it was there that I danced and celebrated for 3 or 4 nights. And on sunrise of the last morning, I had a very profound vision in which I saw the ancestors begin to show up on the other side of the canyon. And it was there that the vision for this church was given to me. And once I had the vision, Creator said, well, it's time to go home and go to work. So this church was formed. We are a legally bound 501c3. We're nonprofit. And we began our first Sunday in August of 2022. And we've been meeting together in various places ever since then. I hope and I believe that we found a home that we can occupy for a long time. This is a nice place. It's got a good ambiance to it, got a good spirit, good energy in this building. So that's the short story of how we came to be. So in next week, we'll begin our 5th year together. I've already introduced you to Gary, and if when it comes time for the altar, if you choose to come and participate in our prayer service, then any of our relatives will be more than happy to assist you and show you the flow and the significance of the things that are on our altar. So we're delighted to have you. Anyone else? I had my biopsy test done on Monday, and I won't know anything for 4 to 6 weeks, which is seems like a long time. But anyway, it was. My doctor has been suspicious of that I may have Parkinson's disease. And so they did a biopsy on Monday, and we're just waiting to see the results. I appreciate all of you who remembered that and prayed for me that day and checked on me afterwards. Your response just really blessed and touched my heart. I thank you for your prayers. Well, let's take a moment to quieten our hearts and our minds and reflect upon the things that have been spoken about this morning in terms of prayer requests and prayers of gratitude and praise and thanksgiving. So let's be mindful of those things that were brought to our attention and take a few moments in just good silent prayer. Grandfather, grandmother, ancestors, elders, sacred Mother Earth, we come to you now and have lifted our prayers of cares and concerns for relatives, for loved ones, for friends, for neighbors. I ask that you open your ear and receive and hear the prayers of your people. We come to you today in a good way, with a humble spirit, an honest heart, and ready to step in to the realm of courage. Even in our prayer request for the day, all of the needs, all of the ones that were spoken about, the situations that were spoken about, walk with us during those times. Keep our mind clear and help us to focus on you, one in which all things and where all things are possible. So much to be grateful for. And I ask you to be near us during this time. May we actually feel your presence, experience it. Hear us now. Um, we started several months ago taking a month to sit with and learn more and process more and hopefully gain more wisdom in our life when we started taking one by one the 7 sacred teachings. Again, this was all part of how the vision came together. I saw that logo that you have on the shirt as clear as day, sitting in the middle of the desert. And I saw the tree of life in the circle of the medicine wheel. And I began to recall the 7 sacred teachings, and it was almost like I've never put Legos together. I've never been much of a puzzle man, but it's just like putting little pieces of things together and you step back when it's done, and you look at the completed picture that it presents to us. And it's just, every time I think about it, it amazes me to see the magic and miracle of how all this fits together. The medicine wheel, the compass on the altar, the 7 sacred directions, east, south, west, north, above, below, and within. And each of those 7 sacred teachings are in alignment and are strategically placed in the providence of one of those 7 sacred teachings. For example, when we are born into the season of East, in which Creator is making all things new. We celebrate that at the spring equinox. It's the point and place where we enter the medicine wheel. And that is where we can look at that and through many different lenses, through many different perceptions. And we start on the sacred knee of humility. Then we move to honesty. And if you think about this is all a progressing development, but it's also not linear, it's circular, because when we come back to a place, we can start again. We can begin again. And the magic and the medicine of those seasons and those teachings, if we're having difficulties in our life somewhere, this is a litmus test under which we can put the microscope of self and look inside of ourselves and ask with humility and honesty, where are things out of balance in my life right now? If we're having trouble, this is a perfect roadmap to figure it out. East, humility. South, the color of red. Time in the agricultural cycle that the crops begin to come in. That's what that whole quadrant from an agricultural perspective is. But it's also the place where we, in our spiritual growth, let the seeds of our own life fall into and onto fertile ground that will influence and enhance how we live our lives, the decisions that we make, the priorities that we establish, the character that we portray. And then we move from there to say it takes great courage to do these things. And so today is the last Sunday that we'll be speaking about courage. But what I want you to see is watch how those first 3 of the 7 sacred teachings play off of each other. And when we come to courage, we come to the end of the diving board. Gain momentum. We can elevate and rise with each ascension higher and higher. And then with courage, we just move right into the process. The process of living our lives in a good way. The process of a relationship with Creator in the natural world. And all of the wonders and all of the miracles Creator has provided for us from the beginning. There's something I want you to see about the movement of this process. When we humble ourselves, I've said this many times, being a humble human being does not mean that we have to become a doormat and let people walk all over us and take advantage of us and use us. That's not a signal or a suggestion or implication of weakness in any regard. But those first two, honesty, humility and honesty, are the things that bring us to our knees. When we reflect over our lives, remember when we did this and remember when we did that, and some things I don't care to remember. They were fun, but humility and honesty is a very delicate working it out process of where each time we go through one of the cycles, our bodies feel lighter, our spirits feel lighter, our minds feel lighter, our bodies feel lighter, because we're elevating to a higher level of vibration and spiritual energy, all within the sacred circle of life. Then we move to the west, the place where the sun goes down, a place of darkness and chaos. That is where we learn courage. That is when we practice courage. Think about your own life for a moment. Can you recall an incident in which you were hair-raising, terrified of something, afraid of something, suspect and suspicious of something? I can tell by the looks on your faces that most of us relate to that. And so the man slaps us on the back, the sister slaps us on the back and say, be brave, relative. Which raises yet another question. What is the difference between being brave and courage? They were certainly first cousins of each other, if not siblings. Bravery is courage in action. Do you see that? We've humbled ourselves, we've been honest, we come seeking a relationship and a closer intimacy with the Creator. And we said many times what courage that takes. But I can have all the courage in the world that I want to have or feel like I need to have in the face of a distressing situation or a scary place or frightening time. I can have all the courage in the world, but until I take that first step to the next level of ascension in spiritual energy and revelation, only when I begin then to walk in the presence of that courage and be brave men and women. Be brave as a community. Be brave as a fellowship. And that's when Creator may lay something upon our heart. He may show us some guidance and wisdom. And our response is, yes, take courage. But again, until we take the first step of bravery into doing something, changing something, shifting something, praying in a different manner, thinking in a different way, This is where change begins to stir the pot of the seven sacred teachings. And from the west, we move to the north, which are the elder years, place of respect. And then we move to above. That's where we connect with truth. And then below, which is where we are shown wisdom. And then we move to that place within, that ultimate place where we walk into a hug of love and fellowship with a family, that in which we are accepted unconditionally as we are, without judgment, without a desire to change or convert anybody from something to anything. It's just a freedom to let that gift and that breath of the love of Creator that was given to us when we were born. So now we're on the journey way. The first two, again, humility and honesty, take us on our knees, in which and where we let go of anything that is not like Creator, thoughts, words, memories, whatever it may be. And then we take and make a commitment to ourselves to be honest in how we speak and how we behave. It is then and through courage that we can ultimately become that which we are asked to become, hollow bones. Hollow bones. That place where and in which Creator can speak through us, because we set the ego aside. We've gotten humble. We've taken the sacred knee of humility, and we've been brave to be honest in our actions and our affairs. And we've held great courage together to do that. And now it's time to stand up. We've been on our knees for the first three. Now it's time to stand up and go to work. Now it's time to stand up and put all of this in motion. And we are the one that compels that energy. When we start thinking differently, speaking differently, perceiving things from a different perspective that is more in alignment with spirit, when we come to that place, that's the point where some real magic and miracles begin to happen. I don't know what you may be struggling with or what may be troubling you, but as you consider again your life story, think about those times again where you had to exercise great courage and practice a subsequent. I lost the word. Just give me a second. Um, it's where we begin to put all of this into action and begin to make something happen. And I'm convinced that the magic and miracles that are available for us and to us as we work our way through this process of an ultimate arrival and a new beginning founded in unconditional and unbiased love. I hope that makes sense, at least a little. So next week we'll move on to spend a month talking about respect. And I think that this is one of the things that is destroying the world in which we live is we've lost respect. We think that we can just arbitrarily fly over a neighbor's land and drop bombs on them because we don't agree with them. Same kind of behavior that was introduced to indigenous peoples hundreds of years ago. The attitude that says, if I cannot convert you and change you and conquer you, then I will kill you. We've been dealing with that for a long time. Long time. So hopefully out of this, all of these teachings then inform and strengthen the seventh generation prophecy. If you don't have a copy of that, there is some literature here on the table in which the prophecy is spoken about. Crazy horse prophecy. I see a time of 7 generations when all of the colors of mankind will gather beneath the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one again. And that is this day. We are in the midst of that 7th generation, and our power and our responsibility is unsurpassed. We were born for such a time as this. We've all found our attraction to this fellowship for such a time as this. So let's stand up and go to work. We have several sacraments and elements on our altar, and all of them kind of lead and direct us in a process this poor balance is part of what they're trying to figure out is what is going on. But here on the altar we have the sacrament of floral water. We use this to cleanse our hands, our lips, our bodies. Its fragrance connects us to the beauty and the fragrance of the sacred Mother Earth. We begin by cleansing our hands. Then we have the letting go bowl, sacrifice bowl. If we were outside, we would have a fire, but the charcoal is the best we can do inside. Think about, as you consider where you are in your journey, are we carrying things that no longer serve us or grow us or influence our happiness in a good way? If we become cognizant of those things, we'll take a pinch of tobacco, breathe our letting go of the prayers and things that we wish to be free of, and then put that into the fire, and you watch the white smoke of surrender make its way to the heart of Creator. And then through hope, we come to the point where we make ourselves a new prayer. Are you familiar with making prayer ties? Well, our people will show you and demonstrate to you. But essentially, we take one of the red cloths and the hemp um, string, take a pinch of tobacco and put it into the red pouch and secure it like this. All the same time breathing and speaking your prayers for the day. New hope, new beginnings. And what we do is we accumulate these over the course of the year. And when we come to the spring equinox ceremony, all of the prayers of the people for the previous year are placed into the fire. Not just the charcoal, but a big fire. And that's quite a profound experience. And we begin to see the cycle of life and the transitions in the cycles of life. We begin to see it in action. Symbolically, yes, but in action. Because when we come to the spring equinox is when we hear that still small voice of the Creator saying, look, I'm making all things new. And that's a time of new beginnings, being born again. So when we come to the equinox, we put these prayer ties into the fire and begin again. There's sage, sweetgrass, cedar. All the sacraments are here on the altar for your good prayers. So let me invite you to come now and let's pray together.